Well, in this video, I'm going to create a simple console application in Java that's going to connect with the MySQL by JDBC driver and going to perform some CRUD operations like create, read, delete, and update operations. So let's see. First thing to start this, as an IDE, I'm using Eclipse, and as a MySQL, I'm using MySQL Workbench and MySQL Database version 8 and to perform this task. And to create a new project in this, let's quickly create a new project in your Eclipse, and my Eclipse version I'm using here is, I think it's 23, the latest one, 22 or 23. So that's 22. So you can use the latest version of Eclipse. So to create a new project, just go to the file, go to new, create a Maven project. If you are not able to view this option here, you can go to the section others, file, new, others, and search here for the Maven. When you enter here Maven, it will say give you a Maven project. Just click on the next and select as a bare web. You can give, if you are working on a console application, you can obviously uh, start as a quick start or as a Java application, but I'm using as a web application. Click next. Just enter the project name. Let's say I'm going to use CRUD operation, CRUD console. Okay, so we are not going to use any interface. We will just display the result into our console window. Okay, now when you see this, it will start the creating a web project. Like IDE Eclipse is going to create a new project for us, and at one state it will stuck and ask for the confirmation. So just wait until it will ask to the confirmation. So when I go here, it's still processing. So we can wait for it. Okay, you can see one command, like it's created some package and some basic detail. After that, you need to enter y here. So it means we are going to confirm, and it's showing the message as a build success. Now if you see here, it's created one project for us, and the project is CRUD console. This is a project. But you can see we have some command, some error in like form.xml as well as in our index.jsp. So this is like it's showing because the sublet dependencies is missing. So we'll add all the dependencies and make it run. So to solve this error, what I will recommend it is asking for some plugins that is missing. So where you will get those plugins, just go here over the Google and search for the Java web project configuration. You can directly enter this URL, and here just search for the form.xml, and here are the verify required plugins. You can directly copy it, and it's this available over the code one. And under the build section, after the project file, the final name, you can add this between the build tag. Okay, you can add this text, so you can see that error is gone now. Now let's back to the documentation of the task, and here what we are going to do in this task, we are going to create a database table that contains user ID, first name, last name, email, and the phone number. This table will be connected with our Java console application, and add a new user, view the list of all the users, and update the user and delete the user. First thing, create a Maven project that we have done, and next thing, we need to create a packages. So mainly when we're working on some important application, we need three types of packages that we are going to create in a while. But before that, we have one this error, so it's not related to our console application, but still we can add a servlet dependency. It will be resolved automatically. So let me show you how can you do that. So just go over Google and search for Maven dependency for servlet, and open this Maven repository on the official site. Select the required version, and the latest version is okay. I'm using the alpha one. I just create, just copy it and edit here, save it. When it will build the project, and you will see that under the library section under the Maven, you will see one API as a servlet dependency, but still the error is there because the page is not refreshed. So just remove all the content, save it again, the error is gone. Okay, that's it. We don't need this file more. and here let's create some new projects, new packages. But if you notice, the application is running on Java 1.5. We can't see the Java src main folder over there. So just right click on the root folder of the application, go to properties, and here go to the project facts, select the 1.8 or above version. Under the build tool, Java build path, do the same thing, just or under the order and export, just check this option, import it in your project. Now you will see the src main Java folder. This is a required folder where we are going to create a packages. So what the package we need? The first thing, let's create a package as a bean. So I'm going to create as a package as a bean. So it will be CRUD console.bean. And next thing, I'm going to create another package as a model where we are going to perform our database operations, and another operation will be, we can say it will be our main or controller. We can give it any of them. Okay, now we have three packages. Now we go here, and the next step, what we need to do, we need to add a Maven dependency for the MySQL. So just copy this dependency. Why we need this dependency? Because we are going to connect it with the database. Okay, so under the pom.xml here, under the dependency stake, I'm going to add another dependency which will be our MySQL dependency. So now it's ready, and here under the database section, I just move to the database section, and let's create a database from scratch. So I just drop this, create a new database. To create new database, just click on this icon and create like testdb. I'm going to give it a name as a testdb, and under this testdb I'm going to create a user table. So to create a table under this, what I need to do, right click on the table section, create a table, and table name, let's say I'm going to give it a user, and first thing will be ID. So I'm going to enter the ID, and let's say first name, we can say username, first name, okay, last name, and email. That's it. Okay, so we have this field, and I just click on the apply and finish. Now if I refresh this from here, I can see the user table that is created with these fields. Now we have a database ready to connect. So let's create first a bean. Okay, so I'm going to create a simple bean as a user. Let's say give it a name as a user bean. What we are going to define into the bean, we are going to define a ID, private long ID, and private string first name. Okay, all the parameters that we have just defined for the database. So we are going to create a data setter for it. So I just enter the name as a last name. Another thing, we need an email. And that's it. I think we have only four columns. So first name, last name. Okay, username is also there. So after is, I'm going to create a username. The sequence is not compulsory, but I'm following it. Okay. Here, now we need to create a username data setter for this. So just right click on this blank space, go to source, generate data setter, select all option, generate it, and you will see we have data setters for it. So it will be help us to get and set the values. Next thing, uh, under the model section, let's create a model class. So it will be our DB connection class. So let's say DB connection. Okay, in this we are going to create a connection. So how can we create a connection? So it will be class dot phone name. Okay, we have to import. We have to first create a method here, public. It will be return a connection. So SQL connection get con, and that's it. And here we are going to define a variable here as a public connection con equals to null. First I'm going to define it null and later we'll assign it a value. Now this method is asking to return a value, so I'm going to return my connection here, and now con equals to, here we are going to create a connection. So first thing, we need to register a driver. So sorry, it's not a class. Class dot phone name, and here I need to pass a driver name. So what will be the driver name? com dot mysql dot cj dot jdbc dot capital D and driver. So we have registered it as a driver. If you are using Java version or like MySQL version 8 or above than 8, then you have to define CJ here. Otherwise, it will be look like this: mysql.mysql.jdbc and driver. So I'm going to use I'm using MySQL 8, so I'm defining it like this. Now let's define a connection. So we have already this variable. So con equals to driver manager dot get connection. Here we need to pass three parameters. The first thing is MySQL URL, and the password, username of the database, and the password of the database. So I just enter all these three things over here. One thing is missing is a MySQL URL that I will add in a while. So here I need to add another cage block, like this connection can throw error. So we are handling it into the try catch block. The ID, if you are using Eclipse or any advanced ID, it will auto suggest you all these things. So what will be our MySQL connection? So I'm going to move into the article. So if you follow this article, you will get all the code here. It's a good thing. And here we have this MySQL connection. So just going to copy this JDBC MySQL localhost 3306 and text. And our test is the database name. So in our example, our test case that our database name is testDB. So that's it. Now let's verify is this class is working fine. So under the main class, I'm going to create a main class again. I'm going to create a main class that will be our executable class. So under this, let's create a main method. This is a simple Java main method class. Here, let's make it a static so we can directly call it. And it will require the connection also static. Here, I'm going to print my database connection. Okay, so sys out, I'm going to print sys out db connection. Here we have a database connection into the db connection class dot get con. Okay, so if everything is fine, this will print our database connection. It will be some coded code, but I will understand it's working fine. So if you see, it's showing a proper connection over there. So it means the connection is, we got the connection successfully. Now we can perform the other operations. So first thing, what we need to do, we need to insert the data into the database. So we are going to perform a create operation. So under the model section, let's create a user model. Here I'm going to create a user model. Under this user model, let's create some methods like public void 8 user. Okay, it will return a primary key, so we can make it long as well as a return type, but currently let's keep it as a void only. So here under the add user, what I need to do, first thing, we need a connection. So let's create a connection from here con equals to, where we have a database connection, it's in our database connection class. So db connection dot get con. So now we have a database connection here under the con, and for the con we are going to create a statement. So let's say prepaid statement stmt equals to con dot prepaid statement, and in this statement we need to pass a query. So here For the query we need to pass, we are going to pass insert query. So to save the time, I have already this data into the article, so I'm going to just copy it from there. So this will be our query. I will explain you in a while how things are working over there. Okay, so insert into the table name user values, and there are 5 values, I guess, the 5 column. Let me verify it once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So we have 5 question marks are there. We are going to set these values in a while. Also, it's asking to the try catch block, so I'm going to cover it with a try catch block. And after that, what I'm going to do, stmt dot execute update. We need to pass here execute update here, and this will be written a primary key. So let's see, I'm going to do a long pk. That's it. If you want, we can return the primary key, but before that we need to set these values as a question mark. So what I can do in this statement, stmt dot set, first thing will be our long value. It means it will be our id. In the first column, what we need to do, we need to pass an id, and from where this id will come, we'll pass it from the user table. So I just create an object of our user bean here, user bean and the bean. Now we can give it like bean.get id. So it will set this long value to the first index. Okay. That means in this first question mark, this id will be set. And from where we will get this id? From this user bean. Now stmt dot set string, and here at the second index we are going to set a username. So in the second index, what we have username, then first name, last name, and email. So bean dot get username. Similarly, at the third index and the fourth index and fifth index. So we have third index, we have fourth index, fifth index. So here we are going to set the first name. Here we are going to set the last name, and here we are going to set the email. That's it. So we have set these values and execute update over this, and it will return a primary key. So let's change the return type. Let's keep it a long, and here I'm going to return a primary key. Return pk. Okay, that's it. Now okay, so we have to return here, but this thing should be defined at the top. I just changed the code. It's a simple Java concept. Like we can't call the variable above then or from the block. So now it's showing over the block, and this closing and the opening and the closing block, and now it's returning the value. That's it. So now what we can do, let's add the user. Okay, so we are on our main class now, and let's create an object of this. Let's add the add user, and where we have add method in our user model. So let's create an object of user model. User model equals to new user model, and here this method is going to return a primary key. So I just enter user model dot a user, and what this will ask as an input as a user object. So from where we are going to create an user object, so let's create an object of user bean and set some values. User, so let's say user bean equals to new user bean. Okay, let's set some value here. userwin.set id, let's say I want to add id1, and userwin.set username, let's say I'm going to set asd as a username, and userwin.set first name as a test user, and userwin.set last name as a some random data I'm going to enter here, and userwin.set email. It's not showing. Okay, this should be kept small, and here will be an email. So I'm going to enter as df@gmail.com. So we have created one object, and now we are going to pass this object over add user method. Now it means when we execute this, all the data should be inserted successfully. So let's try it. Before that, let's print this. So I'm going to say print it as a sysout, and data is added, and let's print the primary key. So it will return 1 or 0. If everything is fine, it will return 1, otherwise it will return 0. Okay, that's it. So now I'm going to run it, and let's see what's going on. So data is added and it's showing 1. Now if I move to my database, currently the table is empty. Now if I refresh this table from here, you can see the data is added. Now if I change some data, let's make some changes into the username and save it, execute the code again. Okay, again the data is added, and it's going to edit the another data. It means the add user is working fine. Now also we are entering the static data here. We can take this data from the user. How we can do that? That's quickly simple Java concept. Like, let's do it. Let's create an option of that. Like we can take this inputs from this console. So scanner sc equals to new scanner. Just create an object of a scanner class and enter here system.in input stream, and here we are going to give a message sysout, enter user id, and long id equals to sc dot next long. Okay, and then we can give the same message for the username, enter username. For this username, what we can take the string username equals to sc dot next. Okay, it will give us a username, and similarly we can do the things for first name and the last name. Let me show you. First name, last name, and email. So we can say email. This will be our email, and okay, first name, let's keep it first name, and here I'm going to give it a last name. Okay, so let's keep the email at the end so it will not break the sequence. So it's a simple Java things where we are going to writing a message to take inputs. Now we have this value from console. We can directly pass these values from here. Let's say id equals to id, and username. Here we can directly pass the username, and first name. So here I'm going to pass the first name. Here I'm going to pass the last name, and the email at the last. So the things is set it quite good. Now it will look good now. So let's run this our console application and check how the data is working. So enter user id. So let's say I want to enter user id 3, enter username. Let's say I'm going to be in the first name and G and enter my data at gmail.com, and data is 88, it's showing 1. So if I refresh it, so now we can add a dynamic data from this uh, console application. So in this way, what we can do, we can directly add the data, or we can directly add the data. And next thing, our next task is to, we need to show the list of data that is available into the database. So let's create another main method and give it a dedicated. I can do all the things in one method, but it will be complicated to understand for you. So I'm going to create another separate method, separate main method, that's going to uh, create a list. So user list. So let's create a method as a user list, and under this method also we need a main method. Okay, I'll just create a main method, and here we are going to show the list of the data. So again, if I go to the user model, and here into the user model we have one method as an add user. Let's create another method that's going to get the list of the data. Okay, so I just create a method as a public, and it will return a list. And what types of list? It will be user bean. So it will be list, it will be types like user bean type, and it will say list, or we can say any name like user list. And what we need to do, it will return a user list. So let's create first a list user bean list equals to new array list. I've just created an array list here. Let's give it a type as well. It's fine. Now return the same list, so it will stop throwing the error. Now again, what we need to do, we need to create a connection. So I'm going to just copy this code out here, and after that we need to change our query. Okay, so just create this, create a try catch block, and under this statement, this time we need to find a query as a select a stick from user table. So select a stick from user. So user is our table name. Now, okay, stmt, like we have defined. Okay, now we have select a user, a stick from the user, and then stmt dot execute. It will be say execute. Okay, and it will return a result set as always. So I'm going to return a result set rs equals to this. Okay, that's fine. Now we have result set, and let's create a while loop here. While while rs dot has rs dot next, until we have a value into our result set, we are going to add these values uh, into our array list. So what we can do, let's create a new object of a user bean here, because we are going to set value in the form of beans. Beans equals to new user beans. Okay, we can give it any name. So let's keep it user bean again, so it will not create a confusion to you. And user bean dot set id. Okay, and from where this id will come, this id will come from this result set rs dot get long and column number 1. From where this id will come, get long, and from the first column. And the next thing, what we will get from this database, from this result set record, the username. So set username rs dot get string, and the username will come into the second. So we have this user class already. User class is contain the getter setter. So we are creating object of this user being and going to set the value that is coming from the database. So values that is coming from the database are available into this result set. So again, we have a user bean. So in this user bean, we are going to set the first name, and it will be rs dot get string, and this string will be available into the third index, and user bean dot set last name. This will be rs dot get last name. So sorry, get string, and it will be on the fourth index. So I'm going to get a fourth index, and the last one will be our user bean dot set email. The u should be in a small, and here we have rs dot get string, and into this string the index will be filled. So what directly indirectly we are doing here, now we create an object of user bean and we set all the user id password, and that is coming from the database. In the first index we have id, second we have a username, and first name, last name, and email. Now this user bean, we are going to add this user bean into our list. So list dot add user bean. So now this user bean have all the values. So in each iteration, it will create a new object and set the value into the list, and at the end it will return the list. So now we have ready user list now. So we have created a user list here, and main method is also there. So let's create another object of a user model, because our method is available over there. So user model equals to new user model, and here from the user model I'm going to call this user model dot get a user list. Okay. And what this method will return, it will return a string, a list of user bean. Okay, let's say this is a list, or we can say it's a user list. Now if I going to print it directly, let's print it directly for system sys dot sys out, and user list equals to this user list. Let's run it. What will be the output, and then we'll show you how can you change it into the real-time data. If you see, it's showing the data but in the form of object. So how can we retrieve the data? We can retrieve the data by using the for each loop. So okay, so we have this user list. So user list dot for each and here I'm going to create an object user this, and under this we are going to print our values. Okay, so if you are aware with the lambda expression in Java, it will be easy to understand for you. So we are just iterating the elements from there. So in this statement we can write user dot get id, user dot get id. Okay, and then let's create a form like this, it's okay, and here another thing, we need to print user dot get So after this, we have value here. We can directly sys out. Sys out. And sorry, I was trying to print them directly. That's not good thing. So I just printed ID, and here user.get ID, and next thing, just give it a space and let's say username. So I'm just printing two column, and you can print more if required. So user.get username. Similarly, you can keep it a chain and print all the values. Let's run it again, and this time it will give the list of the users, like username, like ID and the username, ID and the username for each user. Okay, that is available into the database. So in this way, you can retrieve the data. Now, what we need to do, we need to delete and update the data. The two operations are still remaining. That is delete and data. So from this method, we can add the data. From this method, we can view the list of the data. Now, let's suppose I want to update the data. So let's create quickly two methods for update and delete into our user model section. So I'm going to create another method as a. So to save the time, I'm going to copy this from here. You also can do directly copy this. I will share this into the description box. So not this one. We have to go into the user model. Okay, here we have update method. So I'm going to just copy it. And let me explain you what we are doing here. Okay, in this, our bean name is user bean. So I'll just change it as a user bean now. Again, I'm going to change this one as a user. And our database connection name is DB connection. So I just change it as a DB connection. Okay. And it will ask me to import. So let's import it. Something mismatching. So let me DB connection.getCon. What's the next thing we are pressing here? So we are copying the data at the time. Let's make sure we are doing the correct things. Okay, so what we are doing in the update method, this method will take an input as a user bean and the ID, on which ID we need to update the records. So create a database connection again and write a query into the prepare statement. That query will be update into the table name, set first name equals to this, last name equals to this, email equals to this, and let's say username equals to this, where ID equals to question mark. Okay, so on the first index, we are going to set the first name. On the second index, we are going to set the last name. And the third index, here we have to set the get username. Okay, we don't have this. Okay, third index, we have email. And let's create another index as a fourth index to update the username. In the fourth index, we have username. So I updated the method, and the fifth where ID equals to this. So in this ID, this fifth number ID will be there. After that, okay, it will be execute the query, and this time also the query will be executed update, and everything is goes fine. It will be see data is updated. And now, before showing the example, let's create another method as a delete. This will be simple method, and let's quickly do it. And here we also need to use this DB connection. Okay, so we have created a void method as a delete and created a statement where we are passing the query as a delete from user where ID equals to question mark, and just set the ID and execute update and record is deleted. Now we have two methods. One is for the update the records and delete the records. Now go to our main section, main method, and create two different classes to delete the data and to update the data. First say update user. Okay, here into this update user, again I'm going to create a main method. You can run it separately. And what next thing I need to do, I need to create a user model, object of user model. So I just created an object of user model. And here what I need to call as a user model dot update. Okay, the update method, and what it will take as input as a parameter, it will take a user bean, and so let's define a user bean and the ID. So we can pass ID. I'm going to use a static ID. You can dynamically update it by taking input from the user by the scanner class. And for the user also we need to set the values. Let's create an object of user bean. User bean user equals to new user bean, and here user dot set email. Let's say I'm going to update the user email as this gmail.com, and the username also we need to update. Let's suppose I want to update a username, say username. Okay, so it will be h. User dot set first name. Let's give it a random name. User dot set last name, and this will be also a random name. Now we have created a dummy user, and we want update the data of the user one, and it should be this data that we are going to just print. And if everything is going fine, let's print a message says our data is updated. Data is updated. So let's execute this. Right click on it, go to run as, run it as our application. You will see data is updated. It's showing 2 times because the one is coming from here. Okay. And let's refresh the database, and you can see the data is updated to the first record. So the first record we have updated all data. Now let's suppose I want to update the data of second record, second ID. So I just pass ID 2 from here, and I refresh the data. I run the code again, and now it's updated it the second time. Similarly, we can create a method, a class for the delete as well. Also, we can directly call the delete here. We need to create a separate one. So let's create a delete method. So again we have to create an object of this user model. And here we can let's create a separate. So because we create conflict over there. So class delete user. Okay, so here let's create another main method. And in this main method I'm going to create an object of user model equals to new user model, and user model dot delete, and here I need to just pass the ID of that user which I want to delete. So let's say we have currently 3 records in our database. So let's suppose I want to delete the third one. I just run the code, save it, and you can say record is deleted in our console. But if I view it, refresh it, it says this for that record is not available anymore. So it means it's deleted. So that's it about the console application. For the source code, you can follow this article. You will get in the description of this video, and it has a complete explanation like how the code is working. The delete user is there, update user is there, okay, get user list is there, add user is there, and we have this model class. We have created the model class that contain all the methods to add the user, get the list, delete and update. Apart from that, the connection class is there, and the bean class is there, and the required dependencies. Some dependency I have shown you in the demo that you need to add. And thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please subscribe to Code1 for more video, for more custom development video on this kind of task related to the Java. Thank you.